everyone, Kid Frosty's here, and in this episode we are going to be talking about Kid Frosty's Rush to Rushmore! Me and my family recently went on this amazing road trip to Mount Rushmore and some other really cool places. I can't wait to show you some of the videos and photos of some of the stuff we did there. Hope you enjoy it. Our first stop was one of my favorite places in Metropolis, Illinois, the Superman Museum.
All night long.
Our next stop was to Springfield, Illinois to see Abraham Lincoln's tomb. We couldn't get in, so we just took some photos outside of the room. Our first day ended in Davenport, Iowa. The start of day 2 was exploring downtown Davenport. This bridge connects both Iowa and Illinois. I'm in Iowa, my dad is in Illinois. This is Fort Armstrong in Illinois, and that is one of the cannons they have. Next stop, Columbus Junction, Iowa, where we walked across the swinging bridge. It was very high up and really bouncy, but you should go see it. From there we went to Iowa City, where we explored the University of Iowa.
There was a distance between you and I.
In Newton, Iowa, we met Joy, the movie theater pig, who has the world record for most tricks and admitted by a pig.
Alright, ready? Take it off.
Yeah.
Good job.
Wow.
That is really impressive.
That is awesome.
Alright, good girl. Can you put it back on? Put it back on.
No.
Put it on. Whoops, very good.
Yeah.
Good girl. Good girl. Get it up. Get it up. Good. Okay, sorry.
Yay! Wow.
That was good.
Good job,
That was
girl.
good.
Good job.
One more.
Oh my goodness.
One more. One more.
Good job.
And my mom even got to hold Storm, the next movie theater pig.
Yeah.
Hey, girl, baby. Start play your piano. There you go.
Yay.
Can you do it again? Good
Yay.
job. Play. Very good.
Next up, Des Moines, Iowa, where we walked across this cool bridge and saw some cool sculptures. In Menlo, Iowa, we saw the Freedom Rock, which the artist repaints every year. Boca, Iowa, we ran into the Volkswagen Spider and a mini T-Rex. Last stop on day 2, we went to Omaha, Nebraska, where we met a blue troll that lives under a bridge that connects both Nebraska and Iowa.
I'm Iowa, I'm Nebraska. I'm Iowa, I'm Nebraska. I'm Iowa, I'm Nebraska. I'm Iowa, Nebraska. I'm Nebraska. I'm Nebraska. I'm Nebraska.
Day 3, we finally made it to South Dakota. Our first stop was at a monument where South Dakota, Iowa, and Minnesota all come together. Our next stop was Sioux Falls, South Dakota, where we saw Falls Park, which looked beautiful but smelled horrible. From there we went to Mitchell, South Dakota, home of world famous Corn Palace. From there we went to Midland, South Dakota, where we saw a human skeleton walking a T-Rex skeleton. Our next stop was really cool at Badlands National Park. The views were amazing and a little bit scary. These rocks rocked and was a very cool place to relax. We even saw some wildlife, including this guy who wanted to get out of the way and this lonely buffalo. And even saw a cool sunset. From there we went to Wall, South Dakota in the Blackheels and Rapid City, where we spent the night. Day 4 began with a game of pool before exploring Rapid City. First, we went to this cool park that has a piece of the Berlin Wall, for some reason. There were a lot of things to climb on, including this cool obstacle course.
Yay! Good job. Woo! Ninja Warrior, here he comes. Now the death-defying slide. Good job. Watch out for the skunk. Watch out for that skunk. Good job.
Then me and my mom tried out this cool teeter-totter. Then climbed over this cool contraption where my mom got stuck in.
Wait, I can go through them, not on them.
I don't really know what you're supposed to do, but I don't think I'm doing it. Whatever it is.
Look at me.
I'm doing it. Okay. Okay.
Y'all look like professionals.
Yeah. I'm on here too, by the way.
You got it, babe.
Okay. This is a Ninja Warrior.
Next we went to Art Alley where there was graffiti paint everywhere. I really liked this Black Panther and the Baby Yoda from Mandalorian. Then we saw the street corner presidents, starting with my favorite, George Washington. Along with John Adams, Thomas Jefferson signed the Declaration of Independence, James Madison, Andrew Jackson, Honest Abe Lincoln himself, General Ulysses S. Grant, Feeding the Birds with Benjamin Harrison, the great Teddy Roosevelt, Warren G. Harding, and his friendly dog. Howdy from Calvin Coolidge, Franklin D. Roosevelt, celebrating with Harry S. Truman, saluting to Dwight D. Eisenhower, walking with JFK and John Jr., hanging with my mom and dad's favorite Ronald Reagan, hanging with Daddy Bush and his son George W. From there, it was to Bear Country, USA, where this guy was having trouble with his horns.
Hey, buddy. Hey, bud. Hey, bud. Need some help? Want some help? I'll help you.
Even spotted a reindeer or two, and quite a few bears hanging around everywhere, or walking down the middle of the road. And we can't forget this crazy porcupine.
Bring it on. Bring it on, I got you.
Just put up your dukes, little boy.
Step over here, you're getting quealed.
Hey, buddy, what's wrong? Oh, my goodness.
You don't want none.
Why did you doing that?
There was also a pack of wolves with some very brave trainers. We saw a little snow on the way to Keystone, South Dakota. And next up, the highlight of the trip, Mount Rushmore! I've waited my whole life to get here. It was cooler than I ever imagined. This was a day I'll never forget. And it was so cool, me and my dad had a snowball fight. We took a quick ride to see the unfinished Crazy Horse Memorial. Then it was back to the hotel where me and my dad had fun on this awesome water slide. Day 5, we went to the Sullivan Lake, which you might recognize from National Treasure 2. We had a great day hiking and enjoying the scenery too. We continued on to Custer State Park where we saw some amazing views and spent some time feeding the famous begging burros. We rode on this cool road that has lots of curves and 3 tunnels, one of which you can see Mount Rushmore. Next, we went to Bellefonte, which is the geographic center point of the United States. While going through Wyoming, we saw hundreds of deers all over the road. Right before sunset, we made it to Devil's Tower, which was really cool and you might recognize it from Close Encounters of the Third Kind. After a long day of driving, we ended the night in GOLET'S, Wyoming. The next day, me and my dad played rock, paper, scissors right beside rock, papers, and scissors. In the next stop, we went to Livingston, Montana, where we saw these horses walking along the road.
Hi, what are you doing? Oh, look at that one.
We spent some time exploring the town and hanging out by the river. Another day of driving ended in Belgrade, Montana. On our way to Yellowstone, we found this guy on the street in Gardner, Montana. After stopping to get bear spray, we ventured into Yellowstone National Park. Along the loop, there was lots of photo opportunities and wildlife to see. And we finally found some buffalo, including this guy who almost gave us a heart attack when he snuck up behind us. He was definitely in no hurry because he caused a buffalo traffic jam.
Slow pace here.
Just moving along.
He looks so cool.
Right on your window.
What is that?
Oh.
That big old head on him. Man.
Bye, Mr. Bull. Or buffalo, whatever.
Man, he is massive.
And we saw even more buffalo. And more buffalo.
Here.
And stopped to watch a whole herd across the road.
Wow. Definite buffalo crossing.
We didn't encounter any bears, but my dad still tested the bear spray while we enjoyed some scenery. The Mammoth Hot Springs were really cool, but they smelled really bad. The geyser basin was amazing, but still didn't smell good. After a long day in Yellowstone, we returned back to our hotel in Belgrade, Montana. The next day was a return back to Yellowstone National Park, but this time it was the southern loop. The next stop was at Grand Prismatic Spring, which my dad was really interested in. Next up was the famous Old Faithful geyser. It took a little bit, but we finally got to see it erupt, and it was awesome! It erupted for a very long time, but it was well worth the wait. We made it to the Continental Divide, and my mom tried to rename this Lisa Lake. We strolled along the banks of Yellowstone Lake and caught some pretty cool photos. Next up was Mud Volcano, which had a lot of mud, but no volcano. Next we took some photos along Yellowstone River. And possibly came across some bear scratches on this tree right here. Next, we saw the Grand Canyon of Yellowstone, which has some spectacular views. As we made our way out of Yellowstone, we almost lost Mom to this ginormous buffalo.
This may be where we lose Lisa. We're getting too close with the bison. Look at these other people. He decides he's had enough. They have nowhere to go.
But she'll do anything to get a great photo.
Hopefully.
Mom's in deep trouble.
Yeah, well, it looks like she survived.
At the end of the day, we finally found some moose.
What you made me? That is really cool, isn't it?
Who had some trouble with
Those
some
ducks.
ducks.
They're going right. Look at them.
Go, 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 go!
The duck scared the moose off.
Day 8 came to an end in Rexburg, Idaho. Day 9 began with a Spanish Zoom class in Wilson, Wyoming, but it wasn't a bad looking classroom if you ask me. From there we went to Jackson, Wyoming, where we found these cool elk antler arches made out of real elk antlers. And I could not resist photobombing my parents' photo. And I made a couple of animal friends while I was there. The next national park we went to was the Grand Teton National Park. stopped at Ginny Lake to make some awesome photos. Isn't this place just beautiful? Then we got brave and decided to step in String Lake. It may not look like it, but that water was ice cold. And as always, we're on the lookout for bears. Raw! Our hike took us to Lee Lake where we made some more awesome photos. We enjoyed our trip to the Teton so much that we decided to stay an extra day in Teton Village, Wyoming. Back in Ginny Lake, we took a long boat ride across the lake. After the boat ride, we enjoy a hike to Hidden Falls and Inspiration Point. We took many good photos, and I even had a little bit of time to do some meditation. This place really is beautiful. After going back across Ginny Lake, we went to Jackson Lake. At Coulter Bay, we enjoyed an afternoon of canoeing. We ended the afternoon by heading to Jackson Lake Dam. After enjoying a full day in the Tetons, we ended the night in Idaho Falls, Idaho. In Idaho Falls, we found this cool animal fountain. And then in Blackfoot, Idaho, there was this really cool mural. In Utah, we visited the Golden Spike National Historical Park. This is where they connected the first transcontinental railroad. Next, we visited the Spiral Jetty, which was made in a rock formation, and it was right next to the Great Salt Lake. And of course, I couldn't resist leaving my mark on it. In Salt Lake City, we visited the Great Salt Lake State Park, where we had to dip our toes into the black water. You might recognize this house from the movie Up. You might recognize this place here, where we got Footloose in Lehigh. On our way to Moab, we found this place. I'm not allowed to talk about it. But I did dab with marshmallow. Next we went to Arches National Park, which was out of this world. This has some great rock formations that you can climb on, but a few are a little bit scary. After exploring Moab, we went to Fruita, Colorado, where we found this velociraptor riding a bike for some reason. In Grand Junction, Colorado, we took a break from traveling to rewatch Black Panther and enjoy this huge bag of popcorn. Next day, we made it to the Rocky Mountains and stopped in Breckenridge, Colorado. We found several wild creatures roaming around Breckenridge, like this fox, or this non-skeleton velociraptor, and this big guy who turned out to be really nice. We even found the perfect steps for me to do my Joker dance. Next we visited the world-famous Red Rocks Park and Amphitheater. The amphitheater was closed, so we mostly just did some hiking around the park. In Golden, Colorado, we found another good stream for us to take photos on. We finished the day in Lyman, Colorado. As we made our way across Kansas, we stopped in Oakley to visit the Buffalo Bill statue. Next stop was in Manhattan, Kansas, where we visited Kansas State University. After passing through Topeka, we made our way to Lawrence, Kansas, home of the University of Kansas Jayhawks, who my dad says are very good at basketball. They also have a really cool football stadium. Next up was Kansas City, where we found many photo opportunities, including the giant bookcase outside of Kansas City Library. And I got to spend a little bit of time with Mark Twain. First thing we did in the morning in Kansas City was visit the stadium of the Kansas City Chiefs and Kansas City Royals. At the Museum of Art, me and my dad raced across the grass field to see who was the fastest.
Ready, set, go!
And of course, I won. We discovered this ginormous badminton birdie and this outdoor maze of glass. From there, we went to Joplin, Missouri, and found this other Superman museum in Route 56, but it was closed. Next, we had lunch in this cool Undercliff Grill and Bar, where it was built under an actual cliff. And of course, we found some cool Route 66 murals. It stood on this spot that connects Oklahoma, Kansas, and Missouri. Next, we visited the Blue Well of Catoosa, which was really cool, but you can no longer go swimming in it. Tulsa, we found some more cool Route 66 stuff. Next, we went to this house where my dad says is where they filmed part of the movie, The Outsiders. Next, we went to Paris, Texas, where we found the Eiffel Tower with a Texas cowboy hat on top of it. The next morning, we found this cool skateboard park, but since I didn't have a skateboard, bicycle, or scooter, I just had to run the course in the rain. Which was still pretty awesome. Before then, that was awesome. What we discover next? Sims, Texas, which is spelled correctly, by the way. This place may or may not be named after me. In Texarkana, I stood in both Texas and Arkansas at the same time. In Fuke, Arkansas, we discovered the legend of the Boggy Creek Monster. Outside of Clinton, Mississippi, we discovered this cell tower which was disguised as the Washington Monument. And in Tupelo, I had to pay my respects to the king of rock and roll himself, Elvis Presley. And in Fulton, Mississippi, we found this ginormous roadrunner. Beep beep. And finally, we made it back to Sweet Home, Alabama, where we had to pick up the pooch for arriving home.